Alright, this is not story. Chapter 4, Pluto's no good, very painful training day. Alright, here we go. Perfect Cell had amazing lines in DBZA. What's the A stand for? You guys are confusing me with that. Oh, abridged. Abridged. Dragon Ball Z abridged. Glad that since I finally got through the chapter 2, the changes are going to be so much faster. Already halfway done with chapter 4. Hell yeah, country girl. Let's go bathroom break, but I'll be back. I need an adult, young Anakin. I am an adult. Qui-Gon. I won't miss this. Wait, do we have to wait for Fish to come back to start reading the story? Damn. Country girl. A country girl? Girl? Well, I mean, her story has a horse in it, so... I mean, that instantly made sense to me. Get up on the hood of my daddy's tractor, up on the roof, it don't matter. You should react to DBZ Abridged at some point. Good stuff. I love DBZ Abridged. I've watched the entirety of it like 100 fucking times. I grew up on that shit. It's just, it's been so long I couldn't quote it anymore. I used to be able to. Luke Bryan, Country Girl. Oh, it's a song lyric. I see. I should know by now. Fish, I should know by now. Okay. Here we go. The walk to our room was silent, except for the soft hum of the lights overhead and the occasional click of Elias's boots against the floor. The base wasn't at all what I expected. Not grimy, not rusted, or full of flickering lights like every villain lair in a bad comic. The walls were smooth, off-white panels with sleek control panels embedded every so often. Planks, not wild and creeping like you'd expect, but neat and decorative. Plants. Why'd I say planks? Fuck, man. I can't read. But neat and decorative, lined sections of the halls in glass cases. The air smelled faintly like grapefruit. Not for the knowledge that this place was run by a guy in a trench coat who was faking my employment history, I might have actually been impressed. Elias stopped at an unmarked door and tapped a key code. It slid open with a soft chink. Try not to touch anything, he said, stepping in first. Or break anything. Or breathe too loudly. Past tense of glow really feels like it should be glue and not glowed. Does, doesn't it? I love English, right? Stream elements, calm yourself. Yeah, sometimes it gets messages overlapping like that because of the timer. Kinda gets annoying sometimes, but it only happens like once an hour. And that's if, like, there's enough people talking in the chat during that time period that it feels the need to prompt that. It has like a 20 to 40 minute cooldown and it has to be like 20 lines of something within a certain amount of time, or it just won't activate because it doesn't think there's enough people in here that it's worthy of promoting to, essentially. Mina, Wana, Bomba, Clot, Stream Elements, Go Wild in the chat. Wow, I muttered, following. You're such a people person. Bet you throw amazing birthday parties. It's Jamaican patios. Patoys? Jamaican patoys? What's a patoys? Where's that patios? Patois. What's a patois? That just breaks my brain looking at that and thinking that. No. No, no, no. Don't bring your fancy motherfucking French up in here! Salud. Salud? Salud? It's the way they speak, you know, the accent. It's almost like a language. Okay. I see what you mean. So it literally has its own, like, name? Interesting. Like the idea, like the Boston accent? Or New York accent? Or it's like New York City has a completely different accent than the entirety of New York. Because it's so cultural and influential and huge that it's developed its own voice in and among everything else. Because it's such a global, like, connection zone, right? Like, who doesn't know of New York City, right? Like, it's not the capital, but probably more people know about it than they know about the capital. Came from blending the African slaves speaking English when the Brits did their thing. Think of it as Haitian Creole, mix of African languages and French for similar reasons. Okay. Interesting, interesting. I also love language, because language is like... the infinite possibility of the sounds that our mouths can make. And the infinite complexity of the arrangement of lines we can put on a page to reference a sound. Whether you're using like a Roman numeral based alphabet like English, whether you're using like an Arabic alphabet, a Russian alphabet, a Chinese, an Asian, a Korean, Japanese, Indian, just the diversity and variety of possibilities that come with language and writing to me is just fascinating. I love things that in multitudes break beyond the scope of individual particles that exist in all of existence. That's why I want to be a linguist in the military. I like languages. That's why in my book I wanted to avoid languages completely, and language is spoken through consciousness, but you can still misunderstand and have different... like, someone can have a like, in their mind, they can be saying a certain word, and it's the kind of what we're going to do the commentary on today, is which is said versus heard. Like, what do I say versus what do you hear, right? And I may say something, but you'll hear it completely differently, but it's exactly the same thing, right? It's just said differently. Because maybe the understanding of the way that I use certain words falls under a different understanding of you. So it'd be like a mechanic talking to, like, a professional sports player, but they're both using their jargon at the same time. So, you know, like, for instance, you know, a football player, like, American football player, and he's talking about, you know, tackling and the quarterback in the end zone, and the mechanic is talking about like the steering, the pedal, and the initiation of the engine. And then a third party that has nothing to do with it is hearing what they're actually talking about, which is how do we figure out a way to direct and control the next set of events that are going to happen. You know, how do we take control of the situation that we're in, right? So one would be like, well, how do we get our hand back on the wheel? And the other one would be like, how do we line up a shot for a touchdown or so? I don't know anything about sports, so I don't know what kind of reference you could make with that, you know? But that's kind of the idea of how I want to represent language in my book. And language is just intent, consciousness being portrayed. The intent of consciousness. The intent of communication. Which is where I want to play with a lot of things of like characters lying but not lying. Right? Or like them having the entire information by learning about the tablet, but they think they're looking for a piece of stone. They're not looking for wraps of fabric. Even though one character is absolutely obsessed with it, but he doesn't really know what it is. Well, he knows what it is. It tells a story, but he doesn't know, like, he knows, hey, they gave this to me and this tells me. You're communicating telepathy with concepts instead of verbalized styles. Exactly. And that allows characters to understand things and have an equalization of the language so that even someone who speaks really sophisticatedly, like Husai, can get his thoughts across to someone who's as simple as a beastman. And I want to set it up so you understand this, so when Husai is saying very complicated things, and the beastman is only responding to like half or a quarter of what he's saying, is because those are the only concepts he can pick up on. And then Husai sometimes has to dumb down what he's saying in order to get those concepts across, to prevent extended context from being a problem. Yo, Raymond Dow, what's up? How's it going, good sir? Welcome, welcome. But yeah, because understanding yourself and communicating with yourself is kind of one of the main themes. And like, how do you... Because the main character of the entire story is having an argument with himself that he's not the chosen one, but everything is showing him that he's the chosen one. But he just refuses to want to accept it and just treats it as coincidence and something else. Because he thinks his time is already up and that he's failed whatever he was supposed to do because it never happened. Even though what he's supposed to do is be a mentor. So when he finally does find that, it completely changes him. And he's like, I've found my calling in life and I no longer realize that, or no longer think that I've overstayed, you know, and basically... I'm nothing. Because he's already gone through the adventure, right? Because he's already like 45, 50 by this point in the story. By the time the story starts, right? Because he's the mentor who goes back and teaches everyone. And you see all the mistakes that he's made that he doesn't want to make with the people that he's now training. And I thought that was a different kind of perspective, because when do you see the story from the mentor's perspective? And I wanted it to be like with battles and stuff like that, like a strategy game, where Husai is commanding his troops to do the things, and then sometimes the troops don't do what you tell them to do. Like, I told you to go there and attack there, but you didn't attack there! You're the chosen one. Nuh-uh. What the fuck you mean, nuh-uh? It's like, just because I look different than you doesn't mean that I have any special qualities. I'm not super intelligent. And it's like, because his unique quality is simply... understanding that Gaia can put her consciousness more into him and influence him more. So other than just being human and being the only of his species, he thinks it's a curse. That he's cursed as this species, and when he finds out genetic manipulation and everything, he's like, well, this is even more fucked up. But then Gaia's like, no, I purposefully made you the way that you are. I had to make a being that had a mind that could communicate with me. And then in the second book, that's where everything comes together, and it's like, oh my god, all of this stuff the entire time that I've been essentially thinking that I'm running away from, have been directing me towards where I need to be. So it's like you feel like the character's running away, but because the character's running away, it causes them to enact what they actually need to be able to do. And that's like using the personality of the person to enact the prophecy. They know that they need this kind of person to do these things in order for these events to take place. And that was like the entire basis of where I've drawn the story from for like 20 years. Wow, I muttered, following. I'm all up for this chosen one and all, but I'm asking, you'll reconsider. It's like, it's more like, Raymond, if I'm the chosen one, what am I supposed to do? Because currently, until like the beginning of the book, and even with like slight riots and stuff, it's like, yeah, there's been a little bit of social tension over the Adventurers Guild, but there's been social tension over the Adventurers Guild for 150 years. So there's nothing that's happened in the world that's felt that there should be a chosen one. Like, what is there to stop? Who's there to beat? That's his biggest question, is he went out on an adventure, he found the world was a great place. And he was like, well, fuck! What now? Except now the world's falling apart. As the story goes more and more on, he's like, okay, maybe, yeah, this is fucked. I thought this was just, like, social tension rising up, but no, this is, like, events being pushed in the background, like, people pulling the strings, like, we're all puppets here following a play. And that's why I want plays and songs and dances and poems and expression to be very important, so you can see how everyone seems to be following the structure of a play. And that shows that everything is, like, happening for a reason. There's someone pressing the plot in the background. Chosen ones in a time of peace is so interesting. Think Korra in Avatar. Her existence is what caused problems. Exactly, Dnaught. I love that kind of idea of the world. This is like way out of my league. Which is fucked, Raymond, because it's not out of his league. It's right up his alley. It would have been out of his league 20, 30 years ago, but he's spent, like, the last 30 years in a bureaucratic position mentoring people to become adventurers. And now he has the skills in order to make the Warriors of Light the most powerful adventurers in all of Gaia. On all of Gaia. And it comes down to 3 fundamental questions that Husai can ask that he can never get an answer from anyone. Why does everyone know that the planet is called Gaia, no matter what, including the Beastmen? Why is it inside of the tree, why is it that inside of the tree you're basically immortal? Like, what is it about the tree that makes everyone so powerful and immortal and, you know, fucked? And his answer to that one is the monarch, even though it's actually not, it's consciousness. And then the third question is, if there is a Beastman war on the horizon, can I stop it before it starts? And this all gets thrown out of proportion when he's like, oh shit, I'm being blackmailed, or oh shit, someone's warning me that I'm gonna be blackmailed, or that something's gonna happen, that I'm gonna be arrested, you know? I'm gonna be charged with something. And the fact that it's waited this long and all the events that are happening, it's like it feels like everything's just ramping up to get rid of people. And it's like this is the new Viceroy's way of getting rid of people in the government. And thinking about it now, I should also have this happen to other people in the government, where now that the Viceroy has been inaugurated, other members of the government seem to randomly be stepping down and giving their stations to people that don't seem like they should have it. And it feels like the Viceroy has been planning a coup in the government for like the last 10 years, and now that he's inaugurated, he's enacting this coup with all these people in the background, and Husai being kicked out of the tree is a part of his plan. And bringing the Viceroy along, because the Viceroy, the Viceroy who stepped down, feels like there's also something going on that's wrong with his son. So he wants to go into the world and experience the world to see if his son has been wrong. But that's all technically just a front. So it's like the entirety of that is just a complete and utter fucking lie, but that's what he's telling the character. The actual reason is because Gaia needs to get closer to Husai, and Gaia is controlling the Viceroy, but Husai can't find out. So it's why the Viceroy kind of knows certain things, but Husai just assumes he knows them because he's the Viceroy. And you as the reader would also assume, well, obviously he would know this because he's the Viceroy. Got you tabbed up while gaming? Hope you have an amazing stream. Hell yeah, Cubano, thank you, good sir. Hope you enjoy the gaming. Take it easy, good sir. Well, but enough ranting and rambling for now, at least, right? I just love throwing out lore. Feels like the OG God of War plot. Never played God of War, Raymond. Wouldn't know. I didn't even know that Christopher Judge voiced Kratos until like 2 years ago. And Christopher Judge is one of my favorite actors because I love fucking Stargate SG-1, and Teal'c was my favorite character next to Colonel O'Neill because Colonel O'Neill's sarcasm. Need to play it? I've had so many people tell me that. But I just, I used to not play action games. Now I play action games because I used to only play strategy games. Well, maybe one of these days we'll play it, Raymond. I'm kind of getting bored of PoE. So the next thing I was going to play is Hollow Knight and Silksong. Because I love those kind of platformer games. We got trans here and open, go ads, let's go. Let's go ads, you go, let's go ads, yeah ads, let's go. Woo ads, yeah, woo ads. I like ads, you like ads, all like ads, it's good ads, let's go ads, it's ads up in ads. Take out an ad. Mi mayor enemigo. I have no idea what that means, Raymond. All I know is buy more bananas. Yeah, bananas. Today is bananas. Go bananas for bananas on Bananaville when bananas cost bananas. When you're paying bananas for bananas, how do you get bananas out of bananas when all you need is bananas? I have triple the bananas. Guys, they're infecting my mind with ads. I like to think people's tunes in when you go like that, and they just go, huh? Dude just baby mental. I feel like the people that come in when I'm doing that, Raymond, are the ones who stick around. Because they're just as mental. It's a teeny bit mental. I'm trying to be entertaining. Just because my entertain add a little bit of a, instead of a light bulb on top of my head, it's a lit up question mark because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know, one of my people and stay. Typical author. It's like the stereotype. The hot female author who writes like erotic romance, and then the really crazy fucked up dude with like unkempt hair and a huge beard who writes crazy insane fantasy, i.e. like, you know, the chick that wrote like 50 Shades of Grey versus like George R.R. Martin. Like the two extremes of the stereotypes of authors. We all know George is the Giga Chad, even above Sanderson. But Sanderson's more to the public than George is, so kind of one of those things. What is your legacy? Is your legacy your writing, your books, or is your legacy you as an author? And I think George R.R. Martin wants his legacy to be Song of Ice and Fire. Whereas Sanderson, I think, is more of his writing itself, and he wants to inspire other people to write. But that's just the vibes that I get. Anyways, we're going to be at 8 hours, and we're not even going to be done Dnaught's story. I don't know, today I just feel really talkative, guys. The Live, Laugh, Love author and the La Creatura. Yeah. You could call it the angel and the demon. The room was about the size of a decent dorm. 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 wall lockers. His side was already lived in. Military, precise, spread, neatly folded clothes, a set of weights stacked up by the corner. Mine looked like a demo unit in a furniture store. Dropped my bag onto the unclaimed bed. Guess I don't get to pick my side. Do you want the corner with the motion sensor light that flickers at random? Raised my eyebrow. Do you hope I say yes so you can laugh when I develop insomnia? Or is that just an added bonus? Elias didn't answer. He was already at his desk, typing something into the glass-paneled laptop that lit up beneath his fingers. Silence dragged until I opened a drawer and to unpack and found it full of neatly labeled protein bars. Wow, I said. So this is what my future looks like. He didn't look up. It's called discipline. I flopped back onto my bed, arms spread wide. It's called flavorless cardboard, but hey, if it keeps your scowl at full power, who am I to interfere? We doing beta reading? Yeah, this is Dnaught's story. Dnaught's story, chapter 4. Yeah. Unfortunately, the first story took us 3.5 hours to get through. And the guy wasn't even here. I couldn't imagine if the guy was here and giving feedback back and forth, how much longer it would have taken. So I'm gonna have to make like a little condensed video, because it was only like 25 minutes it took to just read the thing. Everything else was tangents. I was talking about my book. Yeah, because I met him on Reddit, Raymond, and the stream is too late for him, so I said I'd read it at the very beginning, and then he wouldn't have to search through the VOD to find it, only it took 3.5 hours, so I'm just gonna make a little video for him that excludes all the tangents, so he doesn't have to sit there for 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours listening to me rant about shit, well, all he wants is me to beta read. So I almost feel like it's, well, I mean, if he was here, he could be in the moment, right? But it's one of those things where I was like, I don't like reading people's stuff if they're not here, but I don't mind reading your stuff if you want me to actually beta read it. and go through the... Because normally I'm just reading your stuff, right? It's like, there's the difference between, do you want me to go into a full critique mode? Do you want me to just read it? Do you want my impression on it? Like, how deep do you want me to delve into the analysis of your story, right? And most people are, like, pretty content with what I regularly do, which is whenever I find a moment that really sticks out, I talk about it. When I find a moment, whether that's positive or negative, and then I give, like, a summary of what I think about the chapter. And if someone wants something, like, bigger broken down, then they can ask questions about it, and then we can go into depth about it. So, but with his, I was like, since he's not here, I'm just going to try and stay in this level of, the reasons why I'm thinking in my head, do I like this? Where do I think the story's going? So he can get an impression of what the audience thinks of the story itself. Absolutely nothing. Then I hope I can get back in the mix to read your story. Alright, let's do it, because we've only read, like, one line. Elias finally turned to me, jaw tight. Listen, I don't care why my dad dragged you here, but I don't need some charity case rookie slowing things down. Propped myself up on my elbows. Wow, I didn't realize you were gunning for the Teen with Most Daddy Issues award. Don't call him. Elias stopped, then looked away. You don't know anything about this place, or what we do. I'm trying, I said. What do you mean one line, fish? Oh yeah, because that's kind of what we read. The entirety of the time that you were gone. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, well it was like 5 lines, but it wasn't that... Like, they chose their bed. He chose his bed in the room. It's like half a paragraph. So I said like and not exactly. Kinda hard when your welcoming committee attacks on sight. You shouldn't have entered without warning. Oh, so this is my fault. Got it. I'll add that to the list right here. Got powers. I didn't ask for. And my parents are forever disappointed in me. Glared at each other. Then Elias stood. Lights out is at 2200. Wake up's at 6. I would use 0600 if you're gonna go with the military times. Even if you say, like, that. Will you read the story from me? They say the streamer talks too much to you see. Strange things will happen here, and stranger they will be. When you watch at midnight, a stream by Scotty. Wow, okay, Fish, you've just officially... Fish, it's been a long time, but you've just officially immortalized yourself. So at the bottom of the stream, we have the community poems. And you have just added yourself to the community poems. So the last one was Project Gnarly. A healing song like a healing song. My life is but one long note in the sympathy of an orchestra. I play high and low by the beat of my own drum, finding my own rhythm on my own path. I don't dictate the volume at which I play. I only seek to tune myself to sing the purest song I can. Each day passes as I raise my vibrations a little higher, so that one day I'm not a note, but a feeling in the heart, and a bright star in the night sky. Well, that's funny, because my time, Lermfish, like, I'm on a 2-month break from work. I normally start at 12:30 p.m. my time. So, what's funny about that is midnight is usually when the stream would start. Basically. So, Yeah, it's 10:45 for me. So we're still a little bit off. But I see what you mean. But yeah, I would add 0600 here if you're going to stick with the military times. Just to make it, you know, congruent. If you're not up, I won't wake you. I'll try to survive the heartbreak. He turned off the main lights and the room dimmed to a cool blue. The base really was quiet, almost too quiet. Even the hum of the walls felt distant. And there is one thing I will say, Dnaught, is... how do I say this? It gives me a hope for the, like, okay, I guess, how do I start this? The sarcasm of the character gives me anticipation of when he's actually going to, like, say something. Because obviously at this point, like, he's super hostile with Elias, right? But it's like, for some reason I'm getting this idea of, like, because the only thing he's ever said to this guy has been sarcasm. It's like this building of a want in me where I'm like, I want him to find someone to have a normal conversation with. And I like that because it feels like I'm getting into this conversation with these people. And I'm like, I guess another way to say it is like, maybe have Elias get more and more annoyed with him. And be like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you know, Leo can confirm this does happen. Leo uses sarcasm as a wall to protect himself. Yeah, so use that with Elias as, like, emphasizing it, right? So being like, is that the only thing you can say? Like, is the only thing you can say as a joke? Do you ever take anything seriously? And kind of play off of that, right? And then that'll make the situation worse. Because it's like a spiraling cascade where, how do you say this? Like, he's trying to defend himself, but the way that he's defending himself is aggressive. So it's like the combination of offensive and defensive. So it's like he's not just sitting there in his defensive side, he's pushing back. And that's causing Elias to push back. And then it's like escalates this conflict between them, even if it ends up with one of them just like leaving the room and slamming the door. Because I feel right now it feels really one-sided. And it's like Elias already feels like he's got a bunch of shit on his plate. So I feel like he should be more aggressive and like more pushbacky towards the main character, if that makes sense. As of chapter 15, a lot of people have literally told him to shut up because he's still running his mouth in very dire situations. In chapter 7, he does have an instance where he doesn't joke as much and his real emotions come out. Okay, that's cool. It's just playing off with the other characters with it too, right? That's the important part. Because you can elongate it longer the more you point it out by the other characters to make it obvious that this is something. So he's got some Spider-Man going on. Interesting. I'll try to survive the heartbeat. Turned off the main lights and the room dimmed to a cool blue. The base really was quiet, almost too quiet. Even the hum of the walls felt distant. Stared at the ceiling, listening to Elias move around. His every motion efficient, precise. No wasted steps, no muttering, just silence and order. I snore, by the way, I said into the dark. Then I'll train harder, Elias said, already in bed. So one day I can punch you hard enough to fix that. I grinned, looking forward to it. Silence settled in as I laid there. Not the awkward kind, just still. The hum of the walls, the soft whirl of air through the vents. Nothing like home, where something was always banging, sizzling, or shouting. This place felt sterile, clean, unnervingly quiet. And with nothing else to distract me, my brain did what it does best. It started spiraling. Oh boy, did it spiral. I thought of Harvey first. Brave, panicking. In a way, that's a good thing. If he's going to be a hero, he has to show mental toughness as well as physical. I'd rather have the sarcastic wise guy who I know is my six than the serious guy who crumples when the chips are down. Exactly, Fish. That's a great way to put it. And it's a great way to build up a reliable character in a hero, right? And especially the way that he doesn't really want to necessarily be a hero, he just can't. If he's in a situation where he can help, he will help. Which is technically what a hero should be. You shouldn't need a license to be able to help people, right? That's always been my kind of critique on, like, the hero license kind of, like, stories. Is, like, I feel like the idea of helping people shouldn't come down to a license. But, you know, it's fiction, right? But that's always, like, in the back of my mind, right? That's why it's like I enjoy the crumbling of the system in ways, right? I'm almost an anti-hero in that way. And there you go. You shouldn't need a license to help people. You understand Pluto's point in Chapter 2. Yeah, exactly, Dnaught. And I loved how he, like, I absolutely resonate with Pluto. I'm like, even describing his fucking outfit and everything, I'm like, this is going to be my favorite character. I know this is going to be my favorite character. And that's kind of why that's the character I'm writing as a main character in my book. Because those are the kind of characters I like and resonate the most with. So I'm like, I want to write from their perspective instead of them being a side character. I want it to be their entire perspective, their entire philosophy, and I want to lay it out because it's basically my philosophy. So it's like I can get super in-depth into the reasons why. More Pluto, please. But that's the thing, is that, and then it feels like the good thing about that is you can either have them be a backside character that you don't really see that much, and that builds even more anticipation for when they are there, right? Because you do still want to have that kind of mysterious type character, and that's what the Viceroy is in replacement for that in my book. So I still have that kind of character while having Husai. And with nothing else to distract me, my brain did what it does best, started spiraling. Oh boy, did it spiral. Thought of Harvey first, brave, panicky Harvey, who'd run into danger right beside me even though we barely knew each other, who'd hauled an injured civilian to safety without thinking twice, who I'd pointed at and said, let's do this, then never even got his damn number. I hoped he passed the protest. Mom would like him. And I will say, 2 points on this. Is it intentional that it's protest? Because if it is, don't change it. If it's not, maybe change it. But I really like leaning into the idea of, especially, I wouldn't recommend changing it, I would recommend leading into it. Because of the character's connection to it. And his aversion to it. So calling it protest is like, and he's like protesting against it, like, I feel gives it, like, a really heavy double meaning, but I don't feel like you're leaning into that as much as you could. So if you don't want to, I would change it. But if you do want to, because I think it's really powerful, I would lean more into that. Like almost fourth wall breaks with the idea of him saying, why would they call it the protest? You know? Whoever comes up with words, it's like Vigintillion. I think of it like Vigintillion. Like, whoever came up with this word and called it this had to have had an ulterior motive when they did it. So I feel like there's an ulterior motive behind it, and having the character recognize that, I think would be really, really powerful. Because I want the character to say that. Like, I'm thinking that the character thinks that, but I'm not 100% sure that they think that. So even a single line confirming that, I think would be so powerful. And then it adds so much to this word and what it is. And then you use it throughout the entirety of it to throw that question of, are licenses really needed to help people? Like, is this pushing society in the correct direction, demonizing people that help people without having this license? Or making it so, like, you should never help people and you always run away, or you're helpless if you don't have this license. And I think you were even saying earlier something about the story connecting to people that are, like, the 20% of the population that don't have powers, like his sister Steph, as far as I think, for the story. So that would add even more question of, like, isn't this society then instantly condemning anyone who has who doesn't have powers? And you can lean more into that earlier on in the story and build it up more, I think. Because I think it's really powerful, and it shows here, but I don't think it shows enough. But a reader like me will really pick it out. But maybe someone who doesn't see that far, or is looking for it, would see it. And that's why I think you could lean into it more. Because oh my god, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, because it's such an awesome, awesome way of presenting it in the world. And giving questions to have other people have the same thought as me. And then you bring Pluto in to answer the question, yes, other people do have the same questions as me. And then that almost enhances and adds multiple more layers to you meeting Pluto. Because you're almost anticipating it like it's foreshadowing. Of being like, are there other people in the world that feel like this character? And it's like, boom, yes, there are other people in the world that feel like this character. Okay, that's what our adventure is going to be about. And I feel that's the direction the story is going. And it's got me super fucking hyped. I love when you read, because you always go in tangents about little things in the story. Very eye-opening and great for feedback and notes. Yeah, because, like, most people I find who beta read don't... Like, okay, they're trying to find the errors. They're trying to find and correct the errors in your work. My perspective is that they're not errors. They are missed opportunities. So explaining why it's a missed opportunity, as opposed to saying something like, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't press the story in a way. That's not what I'm looking for, right? So it's like, if you want to sheer up the story and say more about it, I'm the type of beta reader you want. If you already know and have confirmed what the story is, then I'm not necessarily the best beta reader, because if you've already got all these nuances in there, then you're just kind of looking for, does this sentence flow with it? And most of the time, I couldn't tell you if, like, the pacing was good, if things kind of made sense, or if I didn't know where the story was going, right? And there are stories like that where I can kind of point those out. But since I infer so much of the story, I can pick a direction and go with it. They go full on, this is good, this is bad, and what they mean by that is, I don't like this. Form versus background. Yeah, and I'd say there's two things. Very nice to hear thoughts from a source that isn't either my mind or a writing group that isn't I've been workshopping in for years. Yeah, because I like to put myself in the reader's stance. If I pick up this book, what are my thoughts at the time while I'm reading it? Because, like I said, I'm only an idea person. What idea are you trying to tell me? And as I'm reading, I get a deeper and bigger grasp of what that idea is. And then I say, okay, well, this is what I'm getting out of the story. Is that what you're trying to tell me? And then you can either have a dissonance there, where it's like, that's not what I'm trying to tell you, but I like the idea that you're coming at the story with. And that's where it's like, I think people also like to talk to me about, like, developing stories, because I can see a direction of potential. That it's like, let's say the direction that you want to go has a 20% potential, and you're really attached to that. And that's really good, because you can work with that, and that's your story being told. And even if that's only 20%, that's you putting 100% into 20%, which multiplies it. Whereas if it's like 80%, it tends to get a little bit over the top, and then it becomes a question of, are you trying to tell a story, or are you trying to create a list of events? And finding the difference between that is character. If you're building a list of events, you just simply don't have a character. And if you're, how do you say this, like in a position where you've got all of your characters, but you don't know what your characters are going to do, it's like pushing you in a certain direction, saying, okay, well, what is this character like, can develop the plot. Or saying, what is this place like, what would that place evolve into a character. And I hope that when I see a direction that you're going is at 20%, but I see potential for a direction that's 80%, but I can see that because of the way that you write, you don't necessarily see what that potential could be. So I hope when I tell people that they can see the potential, and even if they're completely in love with the direction that their story's going, they can see that, oh, I'm actually putting a box around myself, limiting what the story could actually be. And if I can open their mind to that and say, this is a direction that would be more powerful, without destroying their story, right? Because I don't want you to write a completely different story because I say I think this has more potential. I want you to see the potential and allow your story to evolve into that. And I don't think a lot of people get that mindset. So I really appreciate it, because I tried really hard. I just when I thought I dodged ads, I'm sitting there with a button on the side saying like, ha, this'll get them to subscribe. I just make sure that they get an ad in the middle of the time that I'm talking to them, and then they'll subscribe, and then they'll never get ads. Psychology 101. It's not that I'm not doing it, it's just that I'm not parading that I'm doing it. Ad blockers, baby! Yeah, guys.
Why do you think I don't get any ads on any of my YouTube videos that I watch? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Unlike Callie, who's playing frickin' ASMR Lego videos that have 45-minute ads in them, and he's not even listening to them, so he doesn't know when the ad is on. So I get my PC back up, I'll be at Block City. Block City. Be Block City, baby. Yep. I wish I knew how to block ads on Twitch, but I don't watch Twitch enough that it's a problem, because Asmon doesn't have ads. So fuck it. I don't even think Artosis has ads, but they're not very frequent. I don't notice them, at least. Then again, he's usually on in the background, so, you know. Okay. I've heard Rack City. My friend loves rap. So that one's because of my friend. I hate it. Seen those banned Bionicle commercial videos? Wait, what, Raymond? Banned Bionicle commercials?
Welcome to a...
Wait, what? The one song you heard is rap? Yeah, because of my friend! Okay. What is this controversial Bionicle ad? I loved I have Bionicles downstairs. Like, I could go grab a Bionicle.
So I'm definitely not condoning kidnapping, especially not on live television, but holy fuck, why is it so expensive to find tickets to an All-American Rejects concert these days? I'm not selling my goddamn fucking kidneys for an hour-long set just to hear Move Along. You know I bet if we hired a gang to throw those punks in a shipping container and smuggled them out to some remote island in the middle of ass-fuck nowhere for a week or so and forced them to play, no one would notice, right? I'm not endorsing any of this. I'm just thinking out loud.
I feel like this is fake.
Paraka do it, especially if the Paraka do it. Ask your parents before violating federal laws.
I feel like that's fake. The toy that saved Lego. Bionicles. I loved Bionicles, dude. They even had a fucking TV show. They even had a fucking kids show for Bionicles, man. That shit was insane. The fact there were 32 of them, though, that one might have been a parody, but there were 32 banned. Bionicle fucking rocks. Yeah, the second they started swearing in the commercial, I'm like, okay, first of all, you can't swear on, like, public TV in commercials. So that's red flag number one. First of all, there's nothing in it talking about Bionicles at all, so that's number two. And if it's a shock factor thing, like a Red Bull commercial, they just didn't do it right. That's not how you do that. My mom would like him. My throat is dry. There one where dude just explains how to make meth. What the fuck? That I feel like that's a parody. Like that's not like actually a commercial. Like someone's just fucked with the system. Or someone took over and hacked it and tried to make some fucked up shit. But yeah. That feels a little, I mean, you never know, but that feels a little over the top. Mom would like him. I swallowed. My chest tightened as I remembered her face when I got home without a license. The anger, the disappointment. Like I dropped a dish for the third time in a row. Dad just stared at me. Like if he looked hard enough, maybe he'd spot the version of me he actually wanted. Yeah, it's parody. Yeah. Then there was Steph. Usually banned commercials are like extremely sexual from like the 70s or 80s or 90s, or they're like involve some sort of animal or something like that. That's usually the ones that are like banned, and they're usually like Japanese commercials, like the Chinese commercial of the black. It's like an Asian girl with a black dude, and then she grabs the black dude and puts him in the washing machine, and then he comes out Asian, and it's like a bleach like Tide commercial in China. It's banned in the US because it's racist as fuck. It's funny as fuck, but consume Panchi commercials? No. What's that? What's Panchi? I've seen that one, yeah. Or the one where it's like the black guy goes to lay down and it's like this kind of like bristle bed, and then it's like it's toothpaste and then he brushed your teeth with it. Okay, I'll have to watch this. What the fuck is this, Raymond? Oh, it just instantly comes up. Oh, it's a Japanese commercial. Oh my god. We were talking about eating dogs earlier in the stream. We were talking about eating dogs earlier in the stream.
コンソメコンソメコンソメパンチポンチじゃないよコンソメパンチうまさが効いてるコンソメパンチコンソメコンソメコンソメパンチコンソメコンソメコンソメパンチパンチで元気コンソメパンチ
Okay, I'm confused. What was really bad about that? Other than it just being like a fucked up commercial? Asian commercials are fucked, dude. You think Western commercials are bad. Asian commercials are completely, they go like completely off of the like Red Bull spectrum or Skittles, you know, the craziness seeing Japanese mobile phone commercials. Oh god, I couldn't imagine Jelly Bean's cell phones. Jack Link Sasquatch. But that's funny, right? There's funny and then there's fucking ridiculous retarded, right? Like some Pocky commercials. Swear what the fuck, Japan is a meme now. Anime and commercials, even their game shows. Oh, game shows are fucked. Game shows in Japan are like fucked. They love it over there. Now I want some fucking beef jerky. God damn. I should have bought beef jerky today when I went to the store. But it's so fucking expensive. It was literally would have doubled the price of my groceries buying beef jerky. Doubled the price of my groceries. That's fucked up. What's the name of this one show? Takeshi's Castle? Not quite sure. Are you talking about like an anime? Or are you talking about a game show? Like guys eating their women out and whoever lasts longer I think wins that round. Like seriously? What the fuck? Run 10 meters, fuck your chick and come, and then run another 10 meters. Takeshi from IGPX? No idea what that is. JP game show. Make you go through a trap race. Relax, don't do it. When you want to get to it, relax, don't do it when you want to come. You guys are all gooning out there, right? That's what Smokey's doing right now. I know it. Then there was Steph, always trying to diffuse the tension with sarcasm. He probably already told Mom I was fine and not spiraling into a trench coat-shaped disaster. She always had my back, even when I didn't deserve it. And Kira, their words kept bouncing around my skull like a ping-pong ball that refused to drop. You could have run yesterday, like actually run. Nobody expected anything from you, but you didn't. I didn't, without thinking, without flinching. That meant something, apparently. Didn't mean I knew what that meant. It's just, I didn't want to be some hero with a badge and a smile who showed up after the damage was already done. I didn't want the glory or the limelight, I just wanted to be useful. Is that what Pluto saw in me? Who was Pluto? What kind of guy forges documents and drafts a kid without even asking? Was this part of some bigger plan, or was he just scraping the bottom of the barrel for sidekicks? And what did it mean that deep down a part of me wanted him to be right? I turned my head to look across the room. Elias's silhouette was barely visible. Just the rise and fall of breath, calm, steady. every bit the soldier his father probably wanted. I wondered how much of that was real and how much was just what he thought he had to be, what Pluto expected from him. And here I was, sharing a room with this guy because I'd said yes, because I'd seen people screaming, bleeding, running, and I'd run toward it, because maybe, just maybe, I was tired of waiting for my life to start. I was having a dream about floating through the clouds, peaceful, gentle, very metaphorical. Then, whomp. Something hit my head, hard, and then again. Ah! I groaned and buried my face in the pillow. You said you wouldn't wake me. I lied, Elias said. Cracked one eye open, just in time to see a second pillow flying toward my face. 6 a.m. sharp, move it. Ugh, I groaned into the mattress. What are you, a military alarm clock with anger issues? Again, I'd put like the 0600 just to emphasize the military complex within him. And I was also thinking another thing is if you lean into it, you could show that this is kind of a way of him rebelling. It's his small way of pushing back against his dad. And it's like wherever he can, he does small things like this. So it's not just him saying like 6 a.m., but it's like these small things that you would assume he would say something that's military grade, but instead he says something else. And then that would kind of align with what the character's thinking about him putting on a show. And not really being himself. If you wanted to lean into that. I think that would be really strong. Because it shows both sides of the character. And it shows that it's leaking through, but it hasn't broken the dam yet. And then you can have that moment when it either breaks the dam, or he repairs the dam. And, you know, grows up more to the point where he can control it. And he's just refused to let his own feelings be the way, and he's stone as his father taught him. But I think either one is a very interesting direction to go with. But I think if you're going to have him change it, there needs to be a reason why. Or just stick with the 0600. But I think that would make a really good psychological, like, subtle thing for this character. And it would ask questions which you've kind of asked of the main character as well, so that would alleviate it on the reader, because now it's in the reader's head. Ugh, I groaned into the mattress. What are you, a military alarm clock with anger issues? Boots on in 5, or I'm dragging you by your hair. At least take me out to spitting. At least take me out to dinner first, I muttered, rolling out of bed like a dying fish. My hair was doing something aggressive, and my eyes felt like they'd been scrubbed with sandpaper, but fine. I was up. Elias had already changed into black joggers, tank top, and no nonsense. Jesus. And the way that he dresses, too, is a good way to lean into it, because he doesn't wear this military type garb. He just wears this like dark black color. So that could be another indication of him fighting against it, where he doesn't, you know, wear like city-bound camo, where it's like the gray kind of camo. This was like blend in with like city streets kind of thing to like amp on his way. So maybe have them have a conversation about the way that he dresses and why or make a comment about him not wearing military garb despite acting so militarily. And that could even maybe be in this jab here. I'm glad you're noticing these small details about Elias, given what the author, knows happens in the book. So that means that you're doing a good job showing small pieces of the character and foreshadowing it in your own way. And the only thing I would say is most people wouldn't pick up on that, which is why I would encourage, if that's the case, to lean into it more so that it is very obvious to the reader. Unless, of course, you want that to be, you know, on the verge where it's never confirmed, but it's just breadcrumbs, exactly, leading us down this path where we're slowly going, yes, I know what's going to happen, because having an idea of what's going to happen is a really, really good way of keeping someone reading, because they want to know if they're right or not. And especially if they're wrong, and that happens early in the book, then they'll be like, oh my god, yes. Because every time they follow those breadcrumbs, they're going to think in the back of their head, it's not going to happen the way I think it is, but it's going to happen the way it needs to. And as long as it's good, and it works with the story, that's what makes the most powerful stories. And you don't need twists, you just need the idea in the character's brain, or in the reader's brain, that this is going to have a small piece of it. It's going to be like an 80%, a repeated story, like Wheel of Time is King Arthur, right? Like Star Wars, like Dune, like Game of Thrones, right? Like you're gonna have this continuum that you're going to want to continue to build upon, and the greatest writers with the greatest world building build that off of the pillars of small nuance, and then that small nuance breeds larger outcomes, and then that breeds larger outcomes, and it's usually you meet somewhere in the middle between the small character acts and the large world pressing that character. And 80% of having normalcy keeps the reader there because there is an expectation, and then the 20% unique twist added to it gives the reader the imagination that makes the story interesting, in spite them knowing, let's say it's Little Red Riding Hood or Hamlet or whatever. They know there's something to it that's going to be unique and special, and your characters drive them enough to find what that is. Elias had already changed into black joggers, tank top, and no nonsense. His face was locked in the same eternal expression of mild irritation with your existence. I pulled on my sweats and hoodie, glaring at him the entire time. We walked through the hallways again, now glowing in a dim golden light from the rising sun filtering through thin vertical windows near the ceiling. The place was less sterile feeling, with some daylight. Almost alive. Not home, but not a sex dungeon either. As we rounded a corner, we paused. We passed a room with a glass wall. Inside were several people in white coats, moving briskly between tables shacked with glowing screens and gadgets. I would say for like, this seems a little over the top. I'd say maybe if you're gonna use that, add something in that he makes some sort of joke about, you know, like, rules of 3, right? Do it 3 times and then it sets. So you did it once, right? With the pulling on his hair and then he turned it sexual, right? Taking him out to dinner first. I'd say do that 2 more times in some way. And then that shifts the mood into making this hit really hard. Because you're like, oh my god, this is so ridiculous, right? And playing off of that ridiculousness, where the contrast of taking something that's serious and turning it into something ridiculous is the character's motif. But I think rule of 3 works good if you're going to, like, hardcore specifically state something like that. And if you're not going to do that, the other direction would be to lessen it from sex dungeon to something that infers that, but isn't, like, sex dungeon. Like, all the place needed was hooks and chains on the wall. Because I feel like this is too abrupt, even with making that singular sexual joke or sexual turn. So I'd say either don't lean so hard into... I hear you. Gotta learn when to dial it back. I do have a request, though. I need to sleep. Could we continue this next stream by chance? Oh, yeah, absolutely. No worries. I know we've completely, like, dragged this out, so I'll just add, like, a little, gap here, so we can kind of go back and then reaffirm where we were, and then, from there. But yeah, no worries. Don't have to do entire chapters, right? I know this has been a really extended day for this, but I'm really in that, like, mindset. I enjoy your tangents as always. Much love, friends. Alright, have a great night, Dnaught. Take care. Sweet dreams.